Welcome back to Just Ask Mrs. Hurlbut. This is episode 11, and our topic today is personal resume. With me today is my daughter, Lucy. Hi, Lucy.
Hi, Mom.
Welcome. Thank you for always being so helpful. She's sort of become my right-hand gal, so I so appreciate her. So before we get started, I just want to I'm going to presume that I'm talking to an audience of young folks who either have a resume or are in the middle of putting a resume together. Lucy, what is a resume all about? Like, what's included in a resume?
Well, my brain immediately goes to a professional resume, so like a job application resume. It's a list of accomplishments and experiences that hopefully make you look appealing to a company.
Perfect. So it usually has an objective, seeking a position in blank.
Yeah.
You will include experiences in what areas? Like your education, your accomplishments, your work experience. So that's essentially what a resume is. You're kind of showcasing all of your strengths and experiences. Well, I want to shift gears today and talk about a personal resume. And this is something that I do with my students every year. And I challenge them to do the same thing for their personal resume that they do for their professional resume. However, the experiences are going to be relational, familial, romantic. They're going to be a history of like, what kind of a friend have you been? What kind of a girlfriend or boyfriend have you been? What gifts and talents have you brought into past relationships? What have you learned from them? So there's a lot of like thinking in ways that you haven't thought of before to really challenge you to see what it is that you have moving forward and who you might share that with. So with that all said, let's check out some questions that have been asked about that general idea.
Okay, well, just to fully expand on how you just opened this, how does a personal resume compare to a professional resume?
So really it comes down to what you're seeking, right? In a professional resume, you're seeking a job. And a personal resume, if marriage is the goal, which it is for so many of you, you're seeking a spouse. You're seeking not what you expect from the spouse necessarily in this scenario, but what you have to offer to somebody so that you can build a life together. So essentially it's really building who you are as a human being and what you have to bring to a relationship as opposed to what you have to bring to an employer. So you're not exactly going to write a personal resume, although feel free, because I actually have my students do that. But it really helps you to sort of create an inventory of what your life experiences have been, what you've been exposed to, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and putting it to good use so that you can apply it to the thought process moving forward, essentially.
Nice. So, what's wrong with setting myself up financially before I start a serious relationship?
Man, I hear that all the time. There's nothing wrong with setting yourself up financially. I think that's a great idea. And that seems to be the culture, right? Especially if you're in a college prep high school and you're moving on to be an undergrad with a specific goal in mind. In fact, many students today have to choose their major sometimes before they even start college.
You have to.
You have to. Okay, well, when I was in college, I don't think you had to declare a major till junior year of college. And even then, I wasn't 100% sure of what I was doing. So yes, it's important. And yes, financial stability is so important. But there has to be a balance. If you're focusing solely on that, relationships are passing you by. All kinds of relationships, friendships, new friendships, opportunities to meet new people through family, whatever it might be, you're missing opportunities when that is your priority. What I will say, and I'll probably say it over and over again, is that you should be building your personal resume right alongside your professional resume. It should be just as important, because in the long run, that's what's going to bring you happiness. All the money in the world is not going to bring you happiness. It's the personal relationships that do. It doesn't mean that you have to be married by a certain day. It just means that you should be utilizing this time in your young adult life to be doing both, to make them equally prioritized. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, I think that whoever asked this question is probably alluding to the fact that maybe from the male perspective that there's this pressure to be able to support the partner that you find. Mm-hmm. But I would say, in my opinion, especially when you're in college, that's the prime time to be able to find someone that you're looking for. And the older you get, the smaller your bubble and circle gets.
Totally true.
And I think that you'll know that you're in the right relationship if you're willing, if you find someone that's willing to stick with you while you also build up financially.
Yeah, and you have a support system, which is amazing. But you said something about guys, and there's still, even in this day and age, there's still this sense where young men feel like they need to be a provider. Mm-hmm. And that's lovely and wonderful. But that shouldn't be the end-all, be-all. You shouldn't say, I'm going to climb the corporate ladder until I'm 30, and then I'll start looking for someone to share that with. A lot of people do it. Many of them do it with success. They usually end up with younger people, younger women,
Correct.
If they're straight. But there's nothing wrong with doing it simultaneously. You're not doing yourself a disservice. In fact, you're going to have support along the way.
Yeah. Well,
next question.
Shouldn't my career plans take priority over my personal life while I'm in my 20s?
Yeah, in your 20s is key. If marriage is something that you hope to achieve in your life, don't wait till you're 30 to start looking for somebody. I'm constantly plugging The Defining Decade by Meg Jay. Such a great book. Honestly, I'd love to have her as a guest someday. If you're listening, Meg, call me. You have plenty of time to do both. You use these 10 years to take the time to invest in both so that you're not starting at 30. So, yeah, it's a priority. It is a priority, but it shouldn't be the priority. You've got to do both, and you've got the time and the space to do both. You ask any young mom or older mom or grandmother or grandfather who's 10 times busier than we were when we were in our 20s, will tell you that, yeah, you can make time for both. I love what you said about the pools, pool changing. When you're in high school, everyone seems to be like-minded. They live in the same area. If it's a private school, they maybe have the same value system or the same faith practice. When you go to college, again, you're like-minded. You're focusing on your education. It's still a small pool. It's the minute you graduate and you're out in the world, that pool changes drastically, which is why so many people turn to online dating, which is a whole nother topic that we'll discuss one of these days soon. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you don't wait till you're 30.
Yeah.
Do them together. You can do them together. It is possible.
As someone that is in their mid-20s, which is crazy to say.
Exactly.
But
Happy birthday.
Thanks. I think that, one, you just really forget how young your 20s still is. And, like, you still have so much opportunity and so much life to live. But I will say, from my personal experience, I think that there's so much opportunity in your personal life the younger you are, and there's so much opportunity in your career life the older you are. So it is funny that people swap that because there is so much opportunity. The older you are and the more experience that you have in this world, that is attractive to companies. but it might not be attractive to a partner.
That's very true. Another thing to factor in here is the post-COVID life of working remotely. And it's really easy to get caught up in your work and have zero social outlets. I feel so bad for people who work from home full time, even though it sounds lovely, and I did it for a couple of years during COVID. If you're looking for relationships, you're missing out on so much. When I think back of my first maybe 10 years of working and being in communities of people where, in fact, many of them went out, met and got married. You can't put all your eggs in that one basket, especially today when you're not as communal in your professional life as it used to be. You become very caught up in your solitude. It makes it less likely for you to meet other people, and it also makes it less likely for you to be accommodating to other people or to step outside your comfort zone because you're so stuck in that. Yeah, the post-COVID movement, when it comes to relationships, super challenging. Again, maybe that should be another episode. No shortage of episode topics, so keep those questions coming.
Okay, let's go to dating. So what do my past relationships have to do with my future marriage?
In one word, everything. And not just past romantic relationships, but all relationships. So when you build a personal resume, you want to ask yourself, what kinds of romantic relationships have I been exposed to first? As far back as I can remember. What kind of models did you have in your life? Did you come from a healthy household where you have a mother and a father who loved each other and continue to love each other? Yes or no? I've had students tell me in their personal resumes, I had no models. My parents were divorced young. They don't speak to each other. They were unable to find love after that. There was a lot of anger. There was a lot of backstabbing, and that's all they know, or all they knew. And they say that in their resume. And then part of the resume will be what models do you have outside of that? And that's when they lean into my best friend's parents, or an aunt and uncle, or my grandparents. I spent every weekend with my grandparents because they were so loving. Those life experiences, even though they're not romantic for you, are going to impact your romantic relationships. And then the next part of the resume is, what about you? Tell me about the relationships you've been in. First, friendships. What have you learned from friendships? Those that have succeeded and those have failed, which you and I talked about this, I think, a couple episodes ago. Oh, fixing people. Yeah, so what are they? Write it down. And when you write it down, you start to pinpoint where things went wrong and what lesson was learned from that. And then the last one is dating relationships. And it's cute because many of my seniors will say, well, I've never dated anybody, so I got nothing. Great, fine. I actually applaud that. The longer you wait, the more clarity you have in that decision making. So tell me about the relationships that you've witnessed. What about your best friend and his girlfriend, or his girlfriend last year, or the girlfriend the year before that? Because many people have a different romantic relationship each year. What have you learned as the outsider looking in, or the third wheel, or the whatever, right? What did you see that you liked and didn't like? And boy, let me tell you, when you put that down in a resume, either literally or figuratively, you go, oh, yeah, I remember the way he treated her, and I would never treat anybody like that. Or I remember the way that she behaved in this circumstance, and I learned I'm not going to do that. Or, wow, I saw this relationship grow in the last year of high school, and 5 years later, they're still together, and now I see why. Write it down. That is your personal resume. Just because you haven't experienced it doesn't mean you haven't witnessed somebody else and learned from either their successes or their mistakes.
Okay. How can a couple survive if they haven't figured out their lives yet? Let's say they're seniors in high school. They don't know who they're going to become. How do they survive going through the life of change and becoming the person that you want to be while still wanting to be with that person?
So it sounds like a couple who's building their personal resume, but the professional resume hasn't quite taken hold yet.
So how do they survive that?
Well, they can absolutely survive it. In fact, I've given this advice to my own children more than once. And that is that there's nothing wrong with starting together at ground zero. You've heard me say that, yeah, Lucy?
Yeah, not to me, but
there's nothing wrong with starting at ground zero, which means that you can go through that growth, that journey, that troubleshooting and problem solving together. So you can encourage each other to build that professional resume, to find that first job, to help each other out with the interview process. Where it gets tricky is if one of you takes a job and it takes you elsewhere or it requires a lot of your time. That's when you need to be having a dialogue about your relationship. How far are we willing to go together? How far are we willing to go separately? How much space are we willing to give each other? Where are we at in our relationship? Are we getting close to being engaged and married? Then you should really consider going with each other. If it's a different city, I mean. But there's nothing wrong with doing that together as long as you're encouraging each other and building each other up and bringing out the best in each other. What you don't want to do is bring each other down and get stuck in a rut and have one person, scrambling to help provide for the other person. If you're in a dating relationship, it is not marriage. It is not a commitment. You do not owe that person your all of your time and money and resources. But you have to be talking about, is this relationship going the direction that we've been working so hard for it to be? And if it is, then we build that professional resume together. Obviously, mostly they're two separate resumes, unless you're going into business together, which is entirely possible. But you encourage each other, you lift each other up, you support each other, you make sacrifices. If this is a relationship that's going to be permanent, and the only way you know that is if you're talking to each other and you're mapping it out and planning it together. So yeah, if one of you is lost or both of you is lost, then you need to rely on each other or reach out to and get support from family members. Don't get stuck in a rut together. All you're doing then is squashing each other's future. That does not a relationship build, if I'm saying that correctly.
I don't know about that.
Wait, talk to me.
No, just the
that
last
thing
sentence.
I just said.
Yeah.
That does not a relationship build. Yeah. Where are my grammar teachers? I think that's correct.
Yeah, well, that's you, not me.
I'll Google it later.
Well, that was actually our final question.
Oh, it was?
Yeah. But if you don't mind, I'm going to throw in one extra.
Sure.
I have like a hypothetical that goes off of the last one. Let's say you're out of college, it's post-grad. There's a couple. One has started their career path. The others is going to take them somewhere else, but they have this big opportunity. Do you think that there's scenarios in which someone has to compromise, or do you think that that just means that maybe their lives aren't on the same path?
Someone will definitely have to compromise, but it really, really begs for the conversation. I just got this opportunity to move to the other side of the country. We are not engaged, but we've been talking about our future. So we either get married, which would be awesome, get engaged. You go together and see if it works. I would not recommend, well, that's a whole nother, we'll save cohabitation for another day. But I wouldn't recommend, again, putting all your eggs in one basket and moving in with that person on the other side of the country, because that can also be very problematic and stifling for both of you. Or do you agree to have a long-distance relationship? Did you say how old?
I said post-grad.
Okay, so we're 21. We've been together all through college, so maybe you've been together 4 years, and the trajectory is marriage. Yeah. You really, in my humble opinion, that's when you get engaged. And the person who's here, is that person employed already? Here? Mm-hmm. Okay. So
I was just trying to kind of get that battle of once your personal and your professional resume are built.
right.
If there comes to a head of conflict, like which do you pick and who has to fall back? Like,
Well, if you're engaged or if you're married, somebody has to.
yeah.
Somebody has to. It's a great conversation to have, and many people have made the decision to take their whole family and move them elsewhere with great success. If you're not engaged, you can walk away, you can have a long-distance relationship, or you can get engaged.
And walking away might give you clarity of which one you wanted more.
Yeah, and the walking away, it can be a breakup, but it can be the long distance.
Yeah.
But then then we have the whole long distance relationship question of how do we navigate that? So if this is the person you're gonna marry, and you both know it, then get married. Don't say, well, we have to wait till we're 30. No, you don't. Yeah, 21, 22 is young, but you can be engaged for a couple of years. I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend much more than 18 months. But start your future. Go ahead and start it. Figure it out together. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. But if you know, you know. If you don't know, that's a whole nother situation, right? If you both are in 100% agreement that you're going to spend the rest of your life together and you've created this professional and personal resume and the opportunity has presented itself, you treat it the same way a married couple would, except for the cohabitation part, which is, again, bring those questions in because that'll be another topic. You really don't want to make a huge investment without a commitment. There needs to be a formal, public commitment to spend the rest of your life together before you make that kind of a move together.
Nice.
I know you're not 100% in agreement with me.
No, I think it's so situational.
I know, I agree.
I think that I just think that personal resume and professional resume can cause on both ends a lot of resentment. And I think that that's a really hard thing in a relationship. Either I chose my person, so I resent it because I never got my career. Or vice versa, I chose my career and now I resent it because I'm 40 and not with someone.
But if you're compromising, resentment won't come into play. Resentment very much falls into the same category as jealousy, which was a couple of episodes ago. If you're compromising, which is what relationships, good, healthy relationships is all about, you want the other to succeed and you're willing to sacrifice X, Y, and Z. Guess what? That's the real world. If your father and I sat down and made a whole list of where he compromised for me and I compromised for him, I'd like to think we're more or less split down the middle. And it was a lot. It was a lot of compromise, but how sad and lonely life would be if we didn't make those compromises, because the alternative is to be alone. And this whole podcast is about relationships. So whether or not it's marriage, you don't want to be alone. You don't want to be alone. So you got to compromise. But if compromise means ending something, then maybe it's going to open another door for you.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm separating everything between marriage and engagement.
We're talking about dating life.
And single. Yeah.
Correct.
Well, thanks, Lucy.
Of course.
So we're going to do a few plugs. What are the plugs that we're going to do before we end this?
Well, you've got some changes coming up. As everyone saw a few weeks ago, we had our first guest.
I think it was last episode.
So we want to hear what everyone thinks. We want to know if you want more guests.
Really want your feedback. I had my friend Pam here. She's a life coach. And the goal is every 5 episodes, or give or take.
So, yeah.
We're going to have somebody sitting with me in front of the camera, sharing their own experiences or their expertise on whatever the topic is for that episode. Your questions mean everything. Your feedback means everything. I want to give a shout out to those people who have taken the time to email. I've even heard from parents, which is so cool, parents of former students. Yeah, we might even change the locale for when we have a special guest.
We'll have some away games.
Some away games. And maybe we'll see Lucy's pretty face someday soon,
Yeah,
too.
but you'll get used to my voice behind the camera.
Yeah, because I don't know that I want to keep rotating in all my family members. That's really tricky because you probably heard that because she is mic'd. So thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to email, comment, like, dislike. Is there a dislike? I mean, if you're going to dislike, you better give me a reason so we can talk about it. Thanks, everybody. She's telling me to wrap it up. We'll see you soon.